And thank you everyone for joining us today during our session for demystifying the certification process. My background a little bit, I am a board member of ALN, but I also am the president of ABS Quality Evaluations. And our organization is a global organization that performs management system audits. And one of the programs that we do offer is ISO 55001, which is the certification standard for asset management for organizations that really want to drive their life cycles of their assets throughout their organizations.
One of the things we wanted to do with this session is to help get people information about the different standards like 55,000, and Rhys, of course, expanded beyond that. It's great. But to understand different standards that are available and standard sources, we'll be talking more about that, and different kinds of certifications. And it's when people are just getting involved, it's not often clear when we say certification what we mean. So we've talked about ISO 55001 certification as an organization, which of course is, can have great value to organizations, but organizations can pursue 55001 practices without getting certified. Similarly, people can be asset managers, asset leaders, without having a professional certification, but there's many available. The Andrew James Advisory Group, Richard Utevilligan and Lindsay came to the ALN a couple of years ago with the thought of developing a program around ISO 55000 training, because we saw that there was lots of good certification and training programs in asset management, but there wasn't one that focused on user level practitioner knowledge just on ISO 55000. So ALN perspective, we try not to compete with other organizations. We try to find ways to work together rather than competing. But we saw this as an opportunity. So I was actually involved with AJAG in helping develop some of the materials on a consulting basis. But Lindsay will be telling us some about those materials and the certification that we developed, the A55K certification. I find it exciting because I've used this process, the training and the certification with clients. And it has value just as individuals to take the class, absolutely. But the stunning practice of using it, I believe, is to take it to an organization where you're starting an ISO 55000 implementation and get everybody in the room that's going to be the key individuals involved, and get everybody on the same page on ISO 55000. It can save you an enormous amount of time and money to get people speaking the same language. One example I was involved with, we had experienced quality person, we had experienced government property management people, we had an experienced, a relatively new facilities management person, we had some senior leadership people, so a lot of smart people, different backgrounds, and they knew how to spell ISO 55000, and that was about it. And we went through this training class, and boom, everybody was ready to go. We were really, I can't imagine how much time it saved in our implementation, just having everybody on the same page. So with that, I'd like to introduce Lindsay Ziegler, and she can tell you about the training, because she is really, the AJAG and Lindsay and Richard Utevilligan have really taken it to another level. So welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to share my screen real quick here. All right, so since you already said I'm going to talk about training and certification, I'm just going to blow right on past that slide. So I wanted to start by saying that there are two types of certification to ISO 55000, individual and organizational. And so organizational certification says that your organization is complying with the shall statements in ISO 55001, whereas individual certification, and this is what the ALN's A55K professional certification is, that certifies that the individual has the knowledge to participate in and contribute to ISO 55K asset management efforts. So my organization, the Andrew James Advisory Group, or we fondly refer to it as AJAG, provides training that qualifies an individual then to sit for the exam. There are plenty of other certifications out there. IAM and SMRP have them. Most of those are more focused on asset management activities such as maintenance and engineering. So you will see things like mean time between failure, mean time to repair, maintenance intervals, those types of best practices. And those programs and those certifications have value, but they don't really concentrate on the standard itself. Why do we care? Well, right now, ISO 55000 is gaining momentum in the US in particular, and in federal government agencies. Earlier this year, the Office of Management and the Budget, or OMB, released a circular dealing with federal real property management, and in that circular, they specifically called out ISO 55000 compliance. That was kind of good news to us because a couple of years ago, the GAO came out with a report that urged better asset management, but they stopped short of actually recommending ISO 55K. So we were kind of happy to see this OMB report. The result of that report is that now federal government agencies and the consulting and software and other firms that have government contracts have become a lot more focused on what is this ISO 55K and what do we need to do. And as a result of that, professional training and certification is also gaining. So we currently have 77 individuals that hold the A55K professional certification designation, and I expect that to be 82 by the end of next week. In this year alone, AJAG has trained 50 individuals in 3 firms, and all but 5 of them at this point have achieved the ALN A55K certification, and the other 5 are scheduled to take the exam within the next week. One single firm, LMI, has 46 certified practitioners so far, and they've established an ISO 55000 community of practice. So clearly, this is something that is gaining attention and that organizations are really getting interested in. So what kind of course offerings does AJAG provide? Well, of course, we have courses in both on-site and remote formats. At the moment, we're not doing on-site courses due to COVID-19. Everything is being offered in remote. The courses that we have a full ISO 55K/A55K training course, and that is either 4 days on site, which we hope against hope will be able to resume next year, or a 2-week online hybrid format, and we'll talk in a minute about what we mean by that. We also have an executive overview class, which is a brief for your executives who don't have any idea what ISO 55000 is. It's a brief, here's what it is and here's why you care. And then that leads into a 1-day ISO 55K summary course that provides a little more detail, including a bit of the information about, okay, so now you're interested in ISO 55K, here are the kinds of things that you need to think about to move forward with that. There is also a 4-day on-site course offered in Spanish through our training partner in Colombia, Ortiz Ruiz Consultores, and you will hear from Daniel Ortiz Plata in the ALN Español presentation, which is a little bit later in the agenda.